Brisket is the holy grail of barbecue, the ultimate slab of beef for tailgating. At this party, we're serving it California style, on tortillas with smoked salsa and horseradish sour cream. This is a Packer brisket. It's a pair of muscles that comes from the chest of the steer. It's actually comprised of two parts. The bottom muscle, which is actually closer to the rib cage, is called the flat. And the top muscle, which is actually closer to the ground, is called the point, or the decal. So to trim the brisket, first thing, cut out some of this fat on the side of the brisket. Good. I'm going to trim this off. In all, you want to leave about a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch layer of fat on top of the brisket. To trim the brisket, I'm using a Shun butcher's knife. And when you're trimming the brisket, if you're in doubt, err on the side of leaving too much fat rather than taking too much away. All right, next step, we're going to spray the brisket with distilled vinegar. This will help the seasonings adhere to the meat. Now, season the brisket generously with coarse sea salt and freshly ground black pepper, and finally, hot pepper flakes. And you can pat these seasonings into the meat, and one final spritz of vinegar. Now turn the brisket over, and once again, spray with vinegar, and then season with your coarse sea salt, freshly ground black pepper, and hot pepper flakes. And then one final spray here. When it comes down to it, trimming and seasoning the brisket is really pretty easy. Now the smoker. To smoke the brisket, I'm using this behemoth ceramic cooker. You can see here's a brisket I put on 10 hours ago. I'm going to take the brisket and place it on the cooker. For the 12 to 14 hours you smoke a brisket, you're going to lose about 40% of the weight and volume. And you can see that difference very dramatically here. Now, this brisket has been cooked for about 10 hours, and the internal temperature is around 160 degrees. With heat-proof gloves, I'll take the brisket off and place it on some unlined butcher paper. We're going to wrap the brisket and then continue cooking it to 205 degrees. The idea with the wrap, it seals in moisture, but because this is unlined butcher paper, it can breathe, so you keep that nice bark, that crust on the brisket. So watch. We'll make a fold here, and we'll make a fold here, and we'll start wrapping here, here, and from here. Great. So there's your wrapped brisket. It goes back on the smoker. And what we'll do is close the lid of the cooker, seal it tightly, and adjust the vents at the bottom and the top. We'll just close the top vent, then back it open about a 1/4 turn. Total cooking time, 12 to 14 hours. It's been a couple of hours, so the brisket should be cooked. And I always like to check it by temperature. We'll go into the thickest part, and we're looking for somewhere between 200 and 205 degrees. 199, close enough. Coolers aren't just for keeping your beer cold. They're also for keeping your brisket hot while you rest it. Resting is a very important stage of the brisket process. It helps redistribute the juices, makes your brisket more succulent and tender. Resting time, at least 1 hour. Here is your brisket. It has smoked for 14 hours. It has rested for 2 hours. It's just perfect. To carve the brisket, I'm using a shun brisket slicer. I'm gonna cut the brisket in half. And then on this brisket, I'll slide it over. I'll just cut off this end. These can be a little bit dry sometimes. These are the original burnt ends, folks. So now, cut the brisket into slices, about 1/4 of an inch thick. Beautiful. Now, for the brisket point, I'll take it to this cutting board and I'll trim off just this burnt edge over here. You can see that is a much juicier slice of brisket. Okay, brisket point, brisket flat, here's how it goes together. I have some grilled tortillas, and I'll spread the tortilla with some of this horseradish sour cream. We'll take a slice of the brisket point and a slice of brisket flat. Then a spoonful of our smoked salsa. And last of all, some diced avocado. We'll roll it up, and you need 2 hands to eat this one. The smoky beef, the fiery salsa, the cool horseradish sour cream. This is like fireworks in your mouth. Anybody want to help me? Come on in.
All right.
Avocado.
That's good.
Okay. Yeah. That's all right.